the record at 10:10 a.m.
Got a defective clip here.
Or you can just put it on the table in front of you, sir.
Have you ever been known by any names other than Dorothy Malveaux?
My maiden name, Dorothy Tyler.
What is your current address?
1515 Carpenter Drive, Channelview, Texas, 77530.
Is that Carpenter, C-A-R-P-E-N-T-E-E-R?
Carpenter, C-A-R-B like in boy, O-N-E-A-R, Drive.
And what are the names of the persons who reside with you at present, if any?
No one.
How many times have you been married?
One.
And in what year were you married?
1977.
And in what year did the marriage terminate?
1990.
Were you divorced?
Yes.
And what is the name of your former husband?
Idris Malveaux.
Can you spell his first name?
E-D-R-I-C-E.
To your knowledge, is Idris Malveaux alive?
No, he's deceased.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
What are their names and ages?
Byron Godfrey. And he's 48 years old.
Any other children?
Lakeisha Malveaux, 41.
And in what city does Mr. Godfrey live?
He lives in Humble, Texas.
Is his last name spelled G-O-T-T-F-R-I-E-D?
G-O-D-F-R-E-Y.
And in what city does Letitia Malveaux reside?
Same, Humble.
How long have you lived at your current address?
Since 1989.
Has anyone ever resided with you at that address? Anyone
No.
else? Are you currently employed?
No.
When were you last employed?
April of 2018.
By?
Sterling Green.
When you say Sterling Green, do you mean Sterling Green Community Improvement
Yes.
Association in
Yes.
Channelview, Texas?
It's in Houston. Mm-hmm.
And what was your job title?
I was office manager.
What were your job duties as office manager?
To manage the operations of the office, the maintenance department, and just to, just whatever was involved as far as running the office, dealing with the homeowners and.
On how many occasions were you employed by Sterling Green as an office manager?
How many times?
Yes.
Once.
When did your employment with Sterling Green as office manager begin?
In 2006.
Were you employed by Sterling Green continuously without interruption as an office manager from 2006 to 2018?
Yes.
Have you ever held any other positions with Sterling Green?
No, I was the board of director.
Any other employment positions?
No.
And during what years were you on the board of directors at Sterling Green?
The same years from 2006 to 2012. Well, from 2006 to 2018. 19, I think, yeah, 19, March of 2019.
When was the last time you worked for someone other than Sterling Green?
I worked for a bank, but I can't remember. It's been like in the early 2000, yeah, early 2000.
What did you do for the bank?
I was a banker, just operations banker,
And what were your job duties?
processing loans and approving loans and processing loans.
How long did you hold that position?
Let's see. I think it was about, I can't remember, about 3-4 years. I worked at different banks.
Do you recall the names of any banks you worked for?
That bank was, yeah, let me see, first, I worked at First City Bank. I worked at, the last bank I worked for was Whitney Bank, and I can't recall. It's been a long time.
The house you own, is that within Sterling Green?
Yes, it is.
And so you've been a member of Sterling Green since 1989?
Yes.
When did you begin working for banks?
I can't remember. It wasn't. Can't remember. It's been so long. In the I say 80s. Can't remember. I guess in the 70s. Yes.
And did you work for banks thereafter continuously from the 1970s until
Yes.
2006?
Yes.
And was it always as far as the areas you worked in, your job duties in the banking industry, was it always processing and approving loans?
Yes, it was in operations.
What is Sterling Green Community Improvement Association?
It's a homeowners association that managed the community.
Is it a not-for-profit homeowners association organized under the laws of the state of Texas?
Yes, it is.
What is its address?
14807 South Silver Green Drive, Houston 77015.
How long has it been in existence?
It's around 1977, somewhere around there.
What is the purpose of for the sake of simplicity, when I say Sterling Green, I'm going to be referring to Sterling Green Community Improvement Association. Is that okay with you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What is the purpose of Sterling Green Community Association?
To maintain the community as far as to maintain the community as far as upkeep of the property, and collecting funds for the upkeep of the property, because it's deed restricted.
And when you were office manager, is the only employment position you ever held with Sterling Green?
Yes.
What were your job duties as office manager?
We collected the association, the assessment fees, yearly assessment fees, and we were in charge of doing deed restrictions for the community, doing maintenance, outside maintenance in the community, and talking with the homeowners.
When you left Sterling Green's employment in April of 18, how many employees did it have?
We had about 10 office and maintenance around that amount.
When you were office manager for Sterling Green, who was your supervisor?
I reported to the board of directors.
When you left the employment of Sterling Green in April 2018, did you resign or were you terminated?
I was terminated.
Were you given reasons for your termination?
No, I wasn't.
At any point since the day you were terminated, have you received any information as to why you were terminated?
No.
Other than the termination in April 2018, were you ever, did you ever have were you ever terminated?
I have not been employed since April of 2018.
No, what I mean is either since that, let me rephrase, prior to your employment with Sterling Green, were you ever terminated by any other employers?
No.
At the time you began working for Sterling Green in 2006, how did you become aware that a position was open?
I was at a board meeting and they asked for if anybody was interested in being on the board, and I said yes.
I have to object as non-responsive because what I was actually asking about was if I understand correctly, you were the office manager from '06 to '18.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And my question is, how did you become aware that the position of office manager was open?
The board asked me to because we had just came from under a management company, and they realized I had office experience and asked me to help to manage the office.
At the time you began working as office manager, did you have any certifications of any kind?
No, I mean, no, I don't.
At the time you began working for Sterling Green, did you have any training in property management?
No.
What is your highest level of education?
I had high school education and a year of college.
What college?
St. Philip's College in San Antonio, Texas.
What did you study at St. Philip's?
I can't remember. It's been a long time.
Did you go to St. Philip's immediately after graduating from high
Yes.
school? Did you graduate from high school at the age of 18?
Yes.
Following your completion of 1 year of college, did you immediately start working in the banking industry?
I think I worked in retail for a short while.
Did you ever take any classes in finance or accounting?
I took some classes, but I mean, it's been so long, you know, training in classes, but I can't remember what they were.
Have you taken any accounting or finance classes since 2000?
No,
And were these accounting or finance classes, were these at San Antonio?
no.
Where
It
were
was
they?
Here in Houston, whatever. It's been a long time, I know. I took different training, but I can't recall.
Was it part of your employment in the banking industry?
Yes, it was.
How many classes in accounting did you take?
Can't recall.
Do you have any accreditations in accounting?
No,
Are you an accountant?
no,
Did you study any classes in management?
no,
Did you take any classes in software?
yes.
What classes?
I can't remember, just computer class.
And was this as part of your work in the banking industry?
Yes, it could have been. I can't remember.
Have you ever taken any classes in property management?
No,
Have you ever taken any classes in finance?
no, I don't recall.
Did you ever work as an office manager prior to working for Sterling Green?
No,
I believe you said earlier you were on the Sterling Green Board of Directors until 2019. Until what month in 2019?
March.
What office or position with Sterling Green did you hold until March of 19?
I wasn't a board of director, but I wasn't the job ended in March of 2018, but I was still on the board until March of 2019.
And when you were on the board, were you also president or secretary or treasurer or anything?
Well, originally I was treasurer, but they changed it, and so after that I became the secretary for the short time.
During what years were you treasurer for the Sterling Green Board of Directors?
From 2000, I think it was 2008 until 2012.
And during what years were you the secretary for the Sterling Green Board of Directors?
Well, just for a short time, from I think July of 2018 until March of 2019.
Upon becoming the office manager for Sterling Green in 2006, let me back up for a second. Are there Sterling Green bylaws?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, have there always been Sterling Green bylaws?
As far as I know.
Following the beginning, let me rephrase, after you took the position of office manager for Sterling Green in 2006, did you familiarize yourself with the Sterling Green bylaws?
Somewhat, yeah, along with the attorneys, consuls.
Were you at any point familiar with the Sterling Green bylaws?
Yes, at some point.
When did you become familiar with Sterling Green bylaws?
When I started working as office manager, you know, I knew there were bylaws, and we read them, and along with the board, and try to understand the best we could so that we make sure that we did everything.
Would you say that within a year of becoming the office manager, you were familiar with Sterling Green bylaws?
Yeah, I mean, as far as what was required, I mean, on a daily basis, whatever it was, we referred to the laws, we referred to our attorneys, and, you know, for help with that.
You said you were familiar with them. I'm just trying to figure out at what point you became familiar with them.
It depends on what it is that we were working on or what we needed to know. And we had attorneys that we contacted if we weren't sure about the bylaws to help us understand them.
And after you became office manager, did you become familiar at some point with the Sterling Green declarations?
Yes, to the best of my ability.
And would it be fair to say that within a year of becoming office manager, you were familiar with the declarations?
Yes, to the best of my ability. It's a lot to learn.
When was the last year in which you were elected to strike that? Elections for officers, such as secretary, involve only the board of directors, correct? In other words, the entire membership doesn't vote on who gets to be secretary, just the board of directors vote on that. And so at one point, you were elected secretary, is that correct?
Yeah, just for a short time.
And in what year were you elected secretary by the board?
2018.
March of 2018?
It was, I think, in July, August, whenever. I think it was in July.
And when the board is going to elect officers, does it have to issue an agenda 72 hours in advance of the meeting at which officers will be elected and post that notice online?
I'm not sure.
Object to the question. Seems to go to his claims. I understand you're here today on the defense only.
Are you familiar with the requirement that agendas for board of directors meetings must be posted and published in advance, 72 hours in advance?
Yes, we would announce the meeting.
But do you understand that you're required to do that by law?
Okay, all right.
I'm asking if you knew that you were required by law to post agendas in advance for board of directors meetings.
I object to the question. This relates to Tom Olson's affirmative claims against Dorothy, not Tom Olson's defenses against Sterling Green's claims against him.
Counselor, I would ask that you limit your objections to form instead of repeating the substance of the objection as provided by Texas law. Objection non-responsive. Do you understand that when board of directors for a home improvement association are going to hold a meeting, they need to publish the agenda for that meeting 72 hours in advance?
Objection form.
Am I supposed to answer?
Go ahead and answer if you can. Answer if you can.
We posted the date and the time of the meeting, that was it.
Objection non-responsive. I'm not asking you about what you did. I'm asking you about your understanding of what the law requires.
No, I was not aware.
During the time that you were the office manager for Sterling Green, did you ever take any classes or study the statutory requirements that are applicable to homeowners associations in the state of Texas?
No, I didn't take any classes.
Have you ever served in the military?
No,
Do you have a driver's license?
yes.
May I see it? I'm going to read the driver's license number aloud. Do you have any objections to that?
I'd rather not. I mean, you've written it down.
Okay.
Why we need it on record.
I will refrain then. Ms. Malveaux, thank you for tendering your driver's license. I have returned the driver's license. Are you legally permitted to drive in Texas?
Yes,
Does Sterling Green own any vehicles?
yes.
How many vehicles?
3, I think.
Do you own an automobile?
Yes.
What type of vehicle? Make and model?
2001 Grand Marquis.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony or a crime involving moral turpitude?
No,
Have you ever been sued?
no,
Have you ever sued anyone?
no.
Please identify all corporations, partnerships, and businesses which you have owned in whole or in part since 2006.
Since 2006.
Yes.
Businesses I've owned.
Yes.
I don't own any businesses. I have a ministry,
What's the name of the ministry?
RC Prayer Ministry, RC Redeemed Christian Prayer Ministry.
Has an employer of yours ever been sued for actions you took on behalf of that employer?
No,
Did your job duties as office manager involve attending board of directors meetings?
yes.
What is the role of the office manager at board of directors meetings?
I just informed them, the board of directors, things that was going on in the office or needs that was needed from the community.
Which employee at Sterling Green during the time you were office manager posted or published the agendas for meetings in advance online?
I can't remember.
Did anyone?
We posted the meeting, yeah, like I said, we posted about the meeting, the date and the time of the meeting. And, but we didn't post the agenda online. We posted it, we prepared the agenda for the meetings.
Did you take any steps at all to make members of Sterling Green aware at least 72 hours in advance of what the agendas of the meetings would be?
Objection form.
I did what the board, did what no, I didn't inform anybody about the agenda. We informed them about the meeting and about the time.
Did you supervise were all employees of Sterling Green under your supervision when you were office manager?
Yes,
Are meeting minutes created and maintained for board of director meetings?
yes,
Or are meeting minutes created and maintained for Sterling Green member meetings?
yes,
Has that been true as long as from the time you began working for Sterling Green as office manager in 2006?
yes. Mm-hmm.
Who maintains them?
The office maintains them.
Under your supervision?
Yes,
Who creates the minutes? Who created them while you were office manager?
we did, the office did. Minutes were taken at the meetings and then they were typed up and filed.
And at the time you left Sterling Green, what were the names of the employees that worked under your supervision?
had Sharon Provost, Kathy Hairbottle, and what was the other girl's name in the back office? I forgot her name. And then maintenance was Ricardo Cavillo. Minerva Spatuta.
And what were the positions of those people? What was Provost's position?
She was office assistant,
What was Hairbottle's position?
office assistant,
What was Minerva's position?
maintenance worker.
Are all Board of Directors, let me rephrase. While you were Sterling Green office manager, were all Sterling Green Board of Director meetings, except executive meetings, open to members to attend?
Yes.
What are the qualifications for being a member of Sterling Green?
Live in the community, own a property in the community.
While you were office manager, who scheduled director meetings, board of director meetings?
They were scheduled for the first Monday of each month.
By whom?
They were just, it's always been that way before I was on the board.
While you were office manager, were Sterling Green members always notified of non-executive director meetings? Was there such a thing as board of directors executive meetings while you were an office manager for Sterling Green?
Yes.
And were Sterling Green members always notified in advance of director meetings?
Objection form.
They were notified when we had open meetings.
Objection, non-responsive. Were they notified in advance of board of director meetings?
Objection form.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Were they notified in advance of executive board of director meetings?
Objection form.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Were there executive, board of director executive meetings?
Yeah, meetings without the homeowners, is that what you mean?
Have you ever heard the term executive meeting?
Yes, I just want to make sure I understand.
What is your understanding of the term executive meeting?
For the board of members, board of directors only.
Okay. So my question is, with regard to executive meetings, were members of Sterling Green notified at least 72 hours in advance of the occurrence of board of director meetings
Objection form.
while you were office manager?
Objection form.
No, we didn't. We did not. We had a meeting, a private meeting for the board of directors. And when we had an open meeting, then everyone was notified.
Objection non-responsive. I'm trying to address the issue of notice. I'm trying to find out if the members of Sterling Green, while you were office manager, and let me back up even further. As office manager, were you made aware of all meetings of any kind involving either the Sterling Green Board of Directors or the Sterling Green, involving the Sterling Green Board of Directors, whether or not they were executive meetings?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And in your position as office manager, were you involved in the process of providing advance notice of meetings?
Objection form.
We provided notices when it was necessary, yes.
When you were the office manager for Sterling Green, were you familiar with the books and records of Sterling Green?
Yes.
Who maintained the books and records while you were office manager?
I did.
While you were office manager, were the Sterling Green books and records always made available to inspections by members when they requested it?
Yes.
Were they always made available to the representatives of members when they requested it?
Yes. We've never really had that situation, maybe one time.
While you were office manager, was it up to the office to make the books and records available?
Yes.
And when you were office manager for Sterling Green, were there any occasions on which the office denied anyone's request to access the books and records of Sterling Green?
We gave them what we could, what we had. To the best of our ability, we provided what was asked.
Did it ever reject any requests?
I don't remember.
At the time you were terminated as office manager in 2018, what was your salary as office manager, your annual salary?
I'm not sure. I made $21.50 an hour, whatever that comes to.
How many hours a week?
40.
Seal Security performs security services for Sterling Green until its contract was terminated by Sterling Green in 2014. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Why was its contract terminated?
We weren't happy with some of the things that they were doing.
What were they doing that you were not happy with?
Employees was going off of property.
And by employees, are you referring to security guards?
Seals employees, yeah, the security officers.
Anything else?
That was the major thing.
What were the minor things?
We weren't notified when they made changes.
You mean changes in the security personnel sent to the property?
That and calling them off property.
Any other problems with Seal Security that led to its termination in 2014?
We just, like I said, we weren't totally happy with the way they operated sometimes.
I'm going to have to object as non-responsive. I just want to make sure I have an understanding of all the problems that led you to terminate the contract. Is there anything that you haven't told me, any other problems that led Sterling Green to terminate the contract?
We worked with them the best we could. A lot of the problems is the security officers was leaving the property unauthorized. And that was the biggest problem. And then sometimes the company would send them to other locations while they were supposed to be on property.
Are there at least 2,200 units or different properties at Sterling Green?
Yes,
So there's at least 2,200 members of Sterling Green.
I'm not sure, it depends on, yeah, well, it depends on, I don't know, you have vacancies and I'm not sure about that. We have 2150 homes.
The number isn't 2,227?
I'm not sure, it's somewhere in the 2,000 plus, you know, right around the 2,000 somewhere.
And the owner of each lot or unit at Sterling Green is subject to assessments, correct?
Yes.
Article 3 of the declarations, membership and voting rights, Section 1 provides that each owner of a lot which is subject to assessment shall be a member of the association. Does that sound correct to you?
Well, yeah, as far as I know, the property owner have to be a property owner.
But would you agree with me that the declarations provide that each owner of a lot that is subject to an assessment shall be a member of Sterling Green?
Yes, if they're a property owner. Mm-hmm.
And would you agree with me that the declarations also provide that a person is entitled to one vote for each lot in Sterling Green they own?
Yes, one vote per household.
Article 3 of the bylaws, meeting of the members, Section 4 quorum, provides that the presence at the meeting of members entitled to cast 1/10 of the votes of each class of membership shall constitute a quorum for any action except as otherwise provided in the Articles of Incorporation, the declarations, or the bylaws. Do you have any reason to dispute that?
If it's in the bylaws, no, I don't dispute it.
You testified earlier that there's over 2,000 units at Sterling Green. And if 10% of that number of the total units is necessary for a quorum for a Sterling Green meeting at which actions can be taken, would you agree with me that you would need at least 200 owners at a meeting in order for the meeting to act on behalf of Sterling Green?
Objection 4.
I guess we can also file that.
We've been going about an hour. Do you want to take a break? We can go a little bit longer, but it's close to an hour.
That's fine with me.
Okay, so
We're gonna take the